Hey Riley, so I just wanted to try and give you a rundown on the Salamander game. It'll be a little bit funky doing it from home, but we still should be able to get through some of it, and we just won't be able to compete. So, anyway, so what we have here is we have a couple of different items within the assignment. Okay, so the most important one is going to be the Salamander game template. So you have a copy of that, so you can actually edit and type right onto that document. Okay, so that's going to be the big thing that I'm grading on this. Is the Salamander template. Salamander game template is where you're going to be completing all your work. Okay, this one here that says Hearth and Third Period Salamander game. This one is this is kind of our game board. You can see we only have one slide here, and each one of these is like your game piece. Okay, so all you have to do to create a game piece is you have editing access to this. You just go over here, and you could type in your initials. Whoop. Okay, you can put a shape around it if you want, or fill it in. And then as you move through the game, if you decide to migrate, we'll get to that in a second. Then you just want to move your game piece, okay, wherever you want to go. So that's what this one is, okay. Um, then the other one is going to be our adapt or our mutation list. And I'll get to that in just a second. So that one we can tell we have that game board up top, but down here we can see we have round one mutations, and then it lists all the mutations, round two mutations. Okay, so each round you're going to be going to that specific round slide. So that's what this one's for. Okay, so what is the Salamander game? What's the goal? How are we going to do this? So the big thing is we're learning about evolution and how species change over time, and we know they change when they have a random mutation that gives them an advantage. And if they have an advantage, they're more likely to reproduce and pass on that trait. So what we all started out as is just this regular red salamander. It talks about its basic traits. Okay, so color, how it breathes, its size, its skeleton, how it reproduces, some of its behaviors, and then just some other general traits. So at the end of the game, the goal is then we're going to reevaluate this and we're going to see how our salamander has changed. Okay, so we'll fill in this portion. Okay, so how do we do that? Basically, each round you get to select either a mutation or migration. So you just kind of randomly pick them. And if we choose a mutation, we're going to go back to this list. And for round one, we have all of our mutations. So you can choose any mutation from the round one mutation. So if I wanted to do that, why we gave you this too is it becomes really fast. So if we want to develop a bony endoskeleton, all you have to do, you can select this, and then you can actually, if you go Shift Control V, you can paste it right in there. It matches the format, and it tells us which mutation we had. So it's important that we get the number on here, and I'll tell you why in a second. Um, but it's important that we get the number on there, and we're just going to keep a list of the mutations that we have. So we can do two per round, so we could do two mutations, or we could choose to migrate. So if we decided to migrate, we're just saying, okay, I moved from K to space J. Okay, so that's what the mutation versus migration is. Now, some of the ins and outs of the game. You before you can migrate, what you want to do is each square represents a different habitat, and in order to survive in that different habitat, you need to have certain mutations. So we can see with regions A and E, it gives you a brief description, and then the stuff in bold is the mutation that you have to have. So you have to have endothermic conditions and the ability to lay eggs on the ground. Okay, if you can't do that, then you actually lose a life. Okay, so with migration, usually I tell people, okay, look at where you want to migrate first, then choose adaptation so you can survive there, and then you can move the next round. Okay. So basically, that's pretty much the gist of it. The only other things that we need to understand is you start out with 5 lives. Okay. And the goal of the game is to survive all 12 rounds with as many lives as possible. This kind of represents not that you have 5 salamanders, but that represents your species as a whole. If you get down to 0, that means your salamander, your type of salamander goes extinct. Okay. When we select mutations, the only other kind of funky thing is if we see something like this, develops functioning gills, is number 17. When we see a number in parentheses like that, what that's saying is you have to have number 16 before you can have number 17. Okay, but in one round, if you wanted to select 16 and 17, you could do that. Same thing down here. You could select both of these. 26 and 28 required you to have number 24. So you could say, hey, I'm going to do number 24 and number 26 this round. And then I'm going to do 28 next round if it's there. Okay. That's really the big thing. Because you can't compete with other people, these are competition points. But since you can't compete, it doesn't really matter. They just allow you to defeat other salamanders in competitions. Okay. So all you need to do is we did 12 rounds. So each round, you're going to choose your mutation or migration if you want to migrate. And then the last thing you need to do is this environmental factor. Okay, and this is the last document we have on our sheet. So you'll look at it and you'll say, okay, where's my round 1? There it is, round 1 environmental factor. Worms and slugs become common. It helps anybody with mutation 24. Anybody with mutation 28, you actually get 2 lives. And so that's how you look at these. So how it works is basically select your mutations, then go back, look at our environmental factor, put that into your document, and just keep track of the number of lives. And the goal is just try and survive all 12 rounds with as many lives as possible. Okay. Then to complete the assignment, what you'll do, and it has, so I just want to let you know, we didn't get through all 18 rounds. We just went through 12. Down here, then we're just going to answer questions about our salamander, some of the stuff we can find on the notes slides that I sent to you, and then a conclusion. And the last piece is once you evaluate your salamander after round 12, you're going to draw it. And you're going to come up with a drawing to kind of represent what it actually looks like now. So, for example, let me pull up somebody's from class. Let's see here. Got to have somebody that turned it in. Harvey's will be okay. So you can see whoa, that's a terrible salamander. He tried to draw his salamander there. So that's basically it. I know it's a lot. Just do the best you can. The big thing is we're just looking at how mutations can either help or hurt organisms as they evolve over time. So anyway, if you have questions, shoot me an email. There's not a big rush on this. I think January 13th is going to be the deadline. So about a month out on assignment. So, all right. Thanks, Riley. Bye.